I didn't have it. I have it set up to record when I start, but I just put it on pause so we didn't get
Yeah.
get the waiting bit. Ah, so just for people who don't know you, tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Caitlin May, and I'm a country singer. And it kind of my love for country music kind of stemmed from years and years ago when I was 2, and my parents bought a holiday home in Florida. And it's crazy how huge it is over there. All you just get in the car and you put on the radio and it's country music. And I was so young, I don't think I knew any better. I didn't think, oh, it's different music over here to what it is over in the UK. But just growing up, I think it had an impact on me, and I've just always felt really connected to it. And I started then writing songs, and I always, despite the fact that I've always loved music and I could sing like musical theatre and pop, I always loved singing and being on stage. But when I actually started singing country songs and writing country songs, it just something clicked into place. And I was like, the fact that I thought that was passion before, I mean, I was completely wrong, because this is passion. Like, I don't know what I would do without country music.
Who's inspired your writing sense of falling in love with country music when you were younger?
So there are a lot of artists out there that I feel inspire me, and Carrie Underwood is definitely up there. I love her songs and just her style and everything about her and her shows. So I definitely have felt influenced by her. But with my writing style, I think experiences a lot of the time are what influence me the most. So if I've been through something and I'm really happy, or if I've been through something and I'm really sad, I just find that getting pen and paper and just a melody and put your lyrics down, it's just a great way to get feelings out and to just feel like you're telling the story as well. I like to keep, even if it's a bad experience, I like to keep the story alive.
I can follow with that. Being in lockdown, has it changed your mentality when it comes to songwriting, or just, I don't know, recording from home?
It's definitely, I think when we first went into lockdown, my biggest worry was that there wouldn't be things to write about, because obviously we weren't, our day-to-day lives weren't the same. So I felt like I would have less to be influenced by. But actually, it's given me so much downtime to sit down and really just get all my thoughts out onto paper. And I think as well to enjoy the ride, because you know something's not right if you're not enjoying it. You've got to enjoy the process as well. And I think for your songs to resonate with other people, you have to have felt something and like feel a connection to the song. And honestly, I don't think lockdown affected my music in a bad way, like the writing process, at all. If anything, it just gave me this like burning need to write more often, and not to, I think, feel bored. I didn't want to, like, a worry going into lockdown was, what if like I just end up feeling bored and I don't have things to do? I love to be busy. But being able to actually learn guitar throughout lockdown, because that was when I started, and just being able to write songs and always feel that even online, my online presence and being able to connect with so many listeners from different countries now as well, it's just all turned out to be quite a positive thing to take from such an awful time, I think, for so many people.
And when you write, do you find it easier to write when you're inside, or when you find a spot outdoors?
I think the crazy thing is as well, I know some people have like a writing corner where they've created this space that they love, and they'll sit down and they'll write. I don't really have that. I could be anywhere and this inspiration hits and I need to write it straight away. So even though I have a songwriting book, which I love to be able to physically write down on paper, I most of the time I'll be out and I'll be like, I need to get this down or I'll forget it. So I've got recordings on my phone and lyrics on my notes on my phone. And I mean, in the summer when we've got nice weather, I mean, it's Wales, so that's not very often, but I do like to sit out in the garden and be able to just feel like I'm in a different space and I can get lyrics down. But I am terrified of bees and wasps. So that is often a problem that I run into sitting outside trying to write songs.
I will say you're not alone. I am
I just
I am absolutely terrified of insects. So at the first sign, I'm
gone.
gone.
Yeah. I
You
know
sort of see something that was like, oh,
yeah, I know. I'm so bad. I think as well. I'm fine with insects, and my mum doesn't like spiders, and I think spiders are great. I'm fine with that, but it's just bees and wasps. The fact that they can sting you, and I haven't been stung, touch wood, as of yet. But you don't know if you're allergic to a sting until you've been stung. So that's my problem.
no, I've been stung right on the chin by a bee as well. As I was trying to swat it away, instead it caught me by the sting, and I was like,
Oh, I know. I can imagine it. I can imagine excruciating pain, which I never want to experience.
no, it's not worth it, I'd say. You also said that you're a fan of musicals. What musicals do you love?
I think it's so hard because I know that every musical has its own attributes and like its own thing, you know. Um, I think I went to see Heathers. I did go to see Heathers in London, and that was amazing. That was I really did enjoy it. And I think that, I mean, it's just all aspect of acting, because I love music, but I also love acting so much. And just being on the stage in any form, for me, I've always loved it. And I remember I was doing a production, a Levers production, and it was Bugsy Malone and I was Blousy Brown, and that experience was incredible, and I just loved being on the stage.
Oh, that is a great musical. I'm actually the complete opposite. I mean, I know I do radio and I'm talking to thousands of people, but
Yeah.
put me on stage, I'm like, nope. I'm I get absolutely terrified. It's
Yeah.
I think it's more out of a nervousness than anything
Yeah.
for me, and I prefer being backstage doing more of the technical stuff. I suppose.
Yeah, I know. I've always loved, which is, I think I've just loved so many different aspects of being able to be creative and be yourself. But I've always loved choreography as well. So I'm the first to say, when someone says, "Are you a dancer?" Well, I don't necessarily have a style. Like I'm not a ballet dancer, or I'm not, a jazz. I don't do tap dance and this and that. But I do love being able to choreograph my own routine, and I would say that's just my own style. It doesn't really fit into a style. It's just something that I feel works. And I always say that if you feel sometimes like you feel nervous, and maybe that's because something about the performance or the song isn't right. So I always think that I follow my gut. If I feel incredible when I'm doing it, then it's going to be incredible to the people watching it. That's like my mentality. So
I can follow with that. I mean, for me, the nervousness sort of falls away once I start getting going,
yeah.
and I find I was like, well, I don't know why I was so worried. I'm doing fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when I used to go to stage school and I was training, um the guy who ran it said, when you feel like butterflies, and people often associate that with nerves, don't, because it's a similar feeling to excitement. And that clicked with me. So like I completely understood that, because I love roller coasters. But you still get this feeling of like butterflies in your stomach. And I always think that's excitement, because if I was nervous, I wouldn't go on it. If I was too afraid, I wouldn't do it. So that's what I've always thought about being on stage. I do always get excitement like that, just the lead up and the buzz and the adrenaline. But
Mm.
I've always loved it.
Yeah, and it's felt weird over the past 11 months because I usually do whatever show on the radio that I can,
Yeah.
but obviously working the hours that I have, because I've worked five or 6 days a week doing 12-hour shifts
Wow.
backwards and forwards, and sleep slightly becomes a distant memory, I suppose, because
Yeah.
I've slept on the bus coming home from work. I just get home. I flump straight down into my bed and get up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon again to get ready to go out and do it again. But for the first time in 11 months, last week I was back. I was back in the studio, and it felt great. It felt great to be back in a familiar environment, and
Yeah.
and also in that 11 months, despite working, that my music tastes have changed a lot as well. So it was quite surreal.
Yeah, it is as well. I think something that is so special is no matter how much time you spend away from something that you love, when you come back to it, it's like you haven't been away.
Yeah, it's like an old friend that you
Yeah.
finally coming back to. Have you, with either performing live, being in the studio recording your songs, has anything ever gone wrong?
I think I have experienced lots of like technical and non-technical difficulties. I think before COVID, and I feel like I've always kind of grown up around the stage. So, lots of things are bound to go wrong every now and again. I remember once, and this was years and years back, I started a song. I'd already done a few. I was doing a set and I'd already done some. And I did this one song and I knew this song like the back of my hand and I loved it. And then I got to this part and I was like, I really don't know like where I am. This is just what? So I was like, oh, come on, guys, let's just start this one again. And the exact same thing happened. I was like, we're not doing this again. We're moving on. We're not trying this song again. And it was just crazy to me because I knew that song so well. And I think in a way, maybe I'd oversung it. And it just got to the point where I'd sang it so much that I was just like, where am I? Like it didn't make sense. And then one time I was about to go on stage for like a 45-minute set. I think I was actually doing two 45-minute sets, but this was my first one before my like break. And they were like a setup of lights on the stage, and I'm short. So I thought I could totally fly under those. I'm fine. So it wasn't even in the back of my mind. And I just walked straight into it and I smacked my head on these really heavy metal lights. And honestly, I swear I was concussed for that show. I was just like, I'm fine. I'm not fine. I'm not fine.
I know what you mean, and it's not the stands that those lights on that's heavy. It's the lights themselves, because obviously they've got big,
Yeah.
massive bulbs in them.
Yeah.
So I do know what you mean.
And I just played it off, and I don't honestly, I think I probably should have got a checkup because I hit my head so hard. And actually I remembered every single word of the whole set. So it didn't affect the songs in any way. But and then since COVID, with everything turning to technology, it's been great because I've still been able to connect, and so many other artists have still been able to do shows for their listeners, and actually gain new listeners and find people who become like a family. But that was in my head. I was like, what if I can't figure out the technical side? And it's not even that technical, but I've never liked technology and computers and screens, and I've never been able to figure it out. So that was probably what I was most nervous for, the fact that you have to be able to know if something goes wrong, what do you do to fix that? But when I made that leap, I actually have loved doing the live streams, and now I don't know what I would do without them, because since COVID and not being able to physically perform on stage, well, I would have just disappeared into oblivion. I'd be gone. So I'm glad that I did push myself to do it, and it turns out I actually love doing it.
Yeah, I can understand that, because obviously doing this through Zoom has actually been a bit of a learning curve for me, because usually when I do interviews, it's down the phone and
Yeah.
and recorded at the studio.
Yeah.
but it's not. I wouldn't say it's been a huge learning curve. It's just been one that I've had to slightly work out and just sort of go, right, this works or this doesn't. Because I mean,
Yeah.
the first show that I actually put together is 3 hours long, but that's
Wow.
because that's filled with me talking. I've got 3 guests on, and I just sort of padded it out a bit because I don't want to do 3 straight hours of me talking or having as well as guests. I mean, I'd run out of things to say by about an hour and a half. Oh, has it been, how strange has it been for you living with COVID where you are?
It's, I think, like you said, it's been a learning curve because everything has changed. Nothing has been able to stay the same, and I've had to be willing to adapt, and everybody has had to be, willing to adapt if they want to continue some sort of normal life. I know it's a new normal for us, but in the last however many months, nearly a year, it has become a new normal because we've had to kind of just keep on keeping on, I guess. Because at first, when it was like the summer and we were in this lockdown, and my mum was like, let's just make it a time that, even though we wouldn't have chosen this, just make it a time we could enjoy. And actually, I felt like that lockdown, the first one, went quite fast. And then I kind of, in my head, was like, there's not going to be another one. And obviously, we were all wrong. There were definitely going to be other ones. And then I just realized even though throughout the first lockdown, I was writing songs still, I felt like I was almost relaxed. It kind of felt like, if this is the only lockdown we have, maybe we should treat it as kind of like a holiday, even though it's not, but and then I realized you can't just treat life as a holiday if this is our new normal. We really need to just work as much as possible and just change the way we think about what work entails. So, I mean, it definitely has changed life for us all. But I I'm kind of getting used to the new normal. Hopefully we won't have to stick with it, and before long we can actually, retain some of our old normalcy, hopefully.
I can follow that because I mean, obviously through the first and second lockdown, and most of the third, I've barely been at home. I've
Yeah.
been out working but I say the first one never felt like a lockdown. It felt
No.
everything just sort of started to change, but
Yeah.
still felt somewhat normal. But I say my approach to when we're going out was just I'd barely changed at that point. But the other thing was I don't carry cash anymore.
Yeah.
I in about the first few days of the first lockdown, I got rid of whatever cash I had on me, and
Yeah.
I pay for what I need by card.
I know, and that feels really. That's one of the things that has changed for me because I don't know what it was, but I used to just like paying in cash, and I used to like having cash on me. So I wouldn't. I did have my card to take money out pretty much, but I wouldn't use the card to pay for things. And I think actually that does keep you on the straight and narrow. For me, it does, because on the card, I feel like if I wasn't really paying attention, I could just spend and spend. But when I take out a certain amount of cash and I'm like, this is what you have to spend, then you can't really go over it. But since COVID, everything has changed, and now I do pay with my card most of the time. But I know that once or twice when we had to go and pick products up and do things for work, there was a Starbucks on the way. There often is on the motorway, and so I'd say, let's go and get a Starbucks, and I had cash, and this was back at the start, and they were like, no, we don't take cash. And I was like, no, but there's no leniency. They won't take it anymore. So it's just crazy. Everything,
Yeah,
you have to change your way of thinking now.
I mean, a lot of places I think still do take cash, but
Yeah.
it's getting smaller and smaller because
Yeah.
I was at the post office putting cards in the post, and I said, "How much do I have to pay for that? Card or cash?" I was like, "Card. I don't have any cash on me at
Yeah,
all."
no. I know. But then I've also found, which is totally crazy, that I've been into a couple of places and I've gone to like take out my card and they say we only take cash. I'm like, what? How? No. Like, there's COVID outside, guys. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing that's been a downside to obviously COVID is businesses that have survived obviously the first lockdown, and then we got took out and they came back, and then
Yeah.
second lockdown there was no coming back from them, because I've seen
No.
shops that I've boarded up and put the for sale sign up because they just can't keep going, which is an actual shame.
Yeah, it's so sad. And I know that a shopping centre in Cardiff, well, the big shopping centre in Cardiff talked about closing down. I don't know if they are going to, but I mean that's huge. If they close down, that is a lot of shops that are going to be just gone. And it has been a really sad, I think, time for so many people, and obviously individuals, because I know a lot of people have lost like family members, but also for businesses and people trying to stay afloat.
Yeah. I mean, not to downplay also what COVID has done. I mean, it's been a bit of a hit on the television production companies as well, because they've had to
Yeah.
go down to number of people that they can have
Yeah.
when they're shooting.
Yeah.
But I think we're still getting, even story writing over the past few years has gotten so much better. They're not getting, they're taking in the detail, but they're getting more to the, I suppose, meat of it.
Yeah.
Is how I'd put it.
I know some filming companies, and some of the movies that were planned to come out this year have had to just really change their way of thinking, because a lot of films have so many actors, because it's not even just the main cast, it's like the extras as well, and there's so much to think about. And as well, for the music industry, I know that some businesses, even though none of us would choose this, some businesses have been able to keep going in some form, because obviously like supermarkets, they couldn't close down, we have to still get our shops and get our weekly shopping. But with music, obviously it's not seen as essential, so we haven't been able to be on the stage, and we've had to scrabble to find other ways to still keep doing what we love. Because I mean, I know some artists, they do have other jobs because they haven't managed to make an income anyway just solely from music, because it is hard. But the ones who are only relying on an income from music, they kind of lost everything overnight, and they've had to find additional ways to bring in a source of money.
Yeah. There's been a couple of instances that they've done socially distanced gigs where they've had the audience in
Yeah.
pens, I suppose.
I just wish I could have been involved in one of those. Nothing was happening around my area, and we weren't allowed to leave Wales. And a lot of things were happening in England at the time, but I couldn't go there legally. So
And we've also had a rise of drive-in theatres as well, because there's one, I know
yeah,
there's one that happens in Edinburgh on the odd basis, and that's probably going to be the future of cinema for a long time to come, for a while to come,
yeah,
because it's going to take
yeah,
us a fair while to get back on our feet after everything that's
yeah.
happened.
I actually cannot believe, and it is weird to think about, because this is not something that has actually crossed my mind, but it's been over a year now since I've been to the cinema, and it wasn't something we did a lot, but it was just something that you did every now and again that made you feel just, I think, happy, because it's just a change to your routine, and now all we have is routine.
Yeah, I'll admit I can't remember what the last film was that I saw at the cinema, because it was so long
Oh,
ago,
I
and,
know, it's
and I don't actually go that often, apart from if it's
no,
to go and see something that I would want to.
yeah.
So what's the plan for you? What's your future holding for you?
So I think I've always been a big dreamer. Yeah, I've always been somebody who dreams really big. And I would love to be in a position one day, hopefully not too far in the future, where like Taylor Swift and Carrie Underwood are, they're just at the top of their game, and they've had such a long career in music, and they've just really made names for themselves. And I would love to just be a part of that kind of exclusive club, I think. Like Dolly Parton and all the greats and all the country megastars, I would just love to be up there with them.
I'm sure that will happen one day. Have you got any new songs that are coming out?
Yeah, well, I've got so many musical plans this year. My latest single that came out on the 12th of February is called Those Three Words. So I just loved the process of working on that song. And coming up next for me is an EP, which I'm pretty much just working on finalizing the last few things. So that's going to be a 4-song EP, which is going to actually be my debut EP, and I'm really excited for that. And I made a loose plan because nobody can make a complete 100% plan because of COVID. But I've made this loose plan, and there are about 9 songs that I'm planning to release this year, including the ones on the EP. So I'm just hoping that that can go ahead, and this whole year can be full of music for me and for everybody else.
Oh, I'm sure it will, and I look forward to listening to those songs, especially the ones that are going to be on the EP.
Thank you.
Just for anyone who wants to find you on social media, where can they find you?
So on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, my Patreon account, I'm Caitlin May Music. But sadly on Twitter, I'm Caitlin May UK because somebody else took my handle before I could grab it.
And just for anybody else that is looking for new music, if they go to Spotify and look up the playlist ECFM New Stars, you'll find yourself on there, along with many other new stars that are coming up. Because I don't just like to play the chart hitters on the show. I also like to make sure that independents such as yourself get the chance to be heard and bring in a new audience for you.
Thank you so much. That's incredible. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Well, I'd just like to say thanks for your time, and take care, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Speak to you soon.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.